Hey there, welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well. You may have to make a difficult decision. You may have to take an exam. You may have an important business negotiation coming up. You may have to present a report in front of the whole team. You may be facing any important stressful situation. And by expert self-leadership, we can turn on something called our inner fountain of youth and positively influence our performance in these situations. And we can influence the consequences of our stress response in those situations on our long-term health. Stay tuned to find out how to do this. You've probably heard that stress is bad for your health, and you may have even heard of the fight or flight stress response, which is the bodily activation that can follow a stressful experience to help you deal with it. And by the way, yes, it is unhealthy to be in a chronic fight or flight mode. However, this is not the whole picture. As research on the human stress response is becoming more and more detailed, we are discovering more and more kinds of stress responses. And today I'd like to focus on two very different ones. One of them being much better for your performance in the situation and your long-term health. And what is particularly interesting for us discussing self-leadership is that we can actually influence which one of the two modes our body starts switching on. But before we get into that and how we can influence it, let's look at these two very different types of stress responses and what they do with our bodies. Both of these stress responses provide our body with energy. The difference is in the ratio of hormones that are being released. One of them has a higher ratio of cortisol being released. During this stress response, our body is actually preparing for physical harm and self-defense. It makes our blood vessels constrict so that we would lose less blood if we were actually physically harmed. And it also rises in the inflammation in our body so that we would have a quick immune response in case of being wounded. The rise in blood pressure and inflammation is what makes this stress response worse for our long-term health. The other type of stress response is more driven by the hormone dihydroepiandrosterone, short DHEA. And because it's better for long-term health, it's also sometimes called the fountain of youth. During this stress response, our body is not preparing for physical harm. So the blood vessels can remain relaxed. Also, the heart pumps out more blood during this stress response. And with this increased blood flow, this stress response actually provides more energy. Also, after a stressful experience, DHA helps our brains to grow and it helps us learn from stressful experiences. So it makes us stronger. And this is the type of activation that top performers have, like musicians, athletes, surgeons, or artists when they are engaged in their craft. It's not that they're like sleepy, chilled, and relaxed. They are activated, but in a way that helps them to be focused and calm. So summing up, this DHEA-driven stress response is better for our actual performance in the situation, and it's also better for our long-term health. Higher levels of DHEA have been associated with a lower risk of stress-related diseases. I don't think I have to say more to convince you of the benefits of this second type of stress response. We can actually influence which one our body decides to activate. So, how can we flip that switch to turn on our inner fountain of youth? And the place this switch is located is in our own mind. The first type of stress response is a response our body generates whenever we feel threatened. That's also why it's called the threat response. And the second type of response is the response our body activates whenever we feel challenged. That's why it's called the challenge response. So this is the big switch. The question, is this a threat or is it a challenge? And that is something that is open for interpretation, right? The same situation can be perceived either as a threat or a challenge to two different people, or to us on two different days. So do everything you can to challenge your perception of the situation, to shift it towards seeing it as a challenge rather than a threat. Become aware of all the aspects of the situation, of everyone involved, including yourself, that speak for a successful outcome. What are the facts and thoughts about the situation that give you confidence in it, that make you feel confident about yourself, your ability to influence the situation, and about how it will turn out? And hang on to those facts and thoughts. Meditate on them instead of meditating on everything that seems threatening about the situation. Shift your perception of the situation from seeing it as a threat to seeing it as a challenge. Tell yourself, I can learn from this. I will get feedback that will help me grow in the future. And everyone who is participating in this situation is not being there to catch me doing something wrong, but they're coming to negotiate or listen to a presentation. Another thing that you might want to switch on, besides your fountain of youth, is the subscribe button and notification bell for this channel so you don't miss the next video. I upload every week and look forward to being in contact with you again soon. Take care and goodbye.